Can your guitar do this? Whoa, that's hot. Whoa, that's hot. And how about this? Whoa, that's hot! Can your guitar do this? I'm just kidding. Well, considering this is a video for a smart guitar, that's probably one of the dumbest things that I've ever done. Anyways. Hey there, I'm Dan, the self-proclaimed Lonely Rocker. Thank you so much for joining me today. Do me a favor, don't take any electronics into the shower. Not a good idea. Anyways, the Enya Music Inspire smart guitar. I got a lot to say about this guitar, but the first question that always comes up, is this a legitimate guitar? Well, you tell me. So everything you heard there came out of this guitar. No additional amplifiers, pedals, or effects. This guitar is a self-contained guitar. It has built-in, we'll call it amp modeling. There is a speaker here, so if you're playing in the room, you can listen to it through the speaker, but there's also a quarter-inch jack here, so you can plug this in like a regular guitar, but you can also take the tones out of here that are generated by the guitar itself, and what you heard in that mix all came from this guitar with no additional processing. So you can generate some pretty realistic tones right out of this guitar. Now, there's a lot of features to discuss here, so why don't we start off. Again, people always want to know, is this a legitimate guitar? So I just plugged into one of my modelers, just some basic tones. Let's listen to a couple of examples of just using this as a regular guitar. The Enya Music Inspire is a Super Strat styled 6-string guitar built primarily with carbon fiber. It is a full-scale guitar with 24 nicely polished frets and an asymmetrical neck profile. This wireless guitar has built-in Bluetooth to connect to the companion amp and the optional foot switch, and you charge it with a USB-C cable that is provided. Here you also have a standard quarter-inch output jack to send out the fully modeled tones or a direct signal from the pickups like any traditional guitar. And there's also a mini headphone jack. You have a tremolo-style bridge in rose gold and matching rose gold tuners. It's a very sleek guitar with smooth curves and great access to the upper frets. And it weighs just over 6 pounds, so it has good weight, making it comfortable to play sitting down or standing up. All right, let's be real here for a second. Now, I use a lot of traditional gear here. I've got a lot of guitars, real amplifiers, I've got modelers and things like that. And I want to be very clear about my thoughts on a product like this. And I want to do this early in the video. I do want to mention that this is a sponsored video. I'm very selective about products that I do bring in here, but I did review this guy over here. This is a previous model. This is the Novo Go Sonic. And I was a little skeptical about this when I first got it. And I can tell you that a year later that I'm still using this guitar. And that is really a testament to how good I think this is as a product. Now, I'm not going to sit here and tell you that this is going to replace your favorite electric guitar. I'm not going to say that. I don't call this an electric guitar. It's not an acoustic guitar, obviously. But what it is a smart guitar. It's its own category. I think Enya Music is really defining a category here because honestly, this guitar is not going to replace one of my electric guitars. It's just not going to. But in fairness, These guitars can't do what this does. And there's a lot of applications for a guitar like this. Being a smart guitar, being self-contained, there's really one word that can sum up the experience of playing this guitar, and it's convenience, because you have everything you need here. So think of all the places where you wish you could play guitar, but you just couldn't lug all your gear. Well, you could bring something like this. Now, it is a full size, it's like a 25.5 inch scale neck. It's a full size Super Strat configuration here. So, but if you're doing a road trip and something like that, and you want to lug your modeler and a guitar and headphones and things like that, it's super convenient because you've got the amp modeling built in. You've got a speaker here. If you have a phone, which I'm sure you're traveling with your phone, you can do deeper dive if you want to manipulate the different tones on here. I'm going to show you that in a second. But you can save your 4 favorite presets and access them right here, so you don't even need to hook up your phone. So it is super, super convenient, and it's a lot of fun. I find myself using this more and more often just for a practice tool or sitting on the couch, but it does perform like a conventional guitar. As I mentioned, we have 3 pickups here. We've got the humbucker here and 2 single coils. So why don't we take a listen to the different pickup configurations and hear how that sounds. Now, a big part of this guitar is the onboard speaker. Now, this is a 15-watt speaker, and it can get pretty loud. So, if you're by yourself, you want to make some noise, maybe I'm not going to put it up against a 100-watt amplifier, but you could piss off some people in reasonable proximity to you. So what I've done is I set up a microphone, and then I played the guitar at different distances from the microphone, just to give you a rough idea of how much sound is thrown out by the speaker. Hey, if you're enjoying this video, perhaps you would consider clicking the like button, perhaps leaving me a comment, and ultimately subscribing if you're not a subscriber to the channel. It really helps me out, and I really appreciate that. Now, if you want to know what I truly think about this guitar, well, make sure you stick around, because I'm going to share my unfiltered thoughts towards the end of the video. Now, ultimately, what sets this guitar apart from your conventional electric guitar is that it is a smart guitar. It has amp modeling built into the guitar itself. And as I said, you can control this right from the guitar. This action button here, which is color-coded, there's 4 main slots, and you can save presets into those 4 slots. So you can manipulate those slots through an app, because there's Bluetooth connectivity here, which allows you to connect to the app. And in the app, you have a deeper dive into your presets. You can add different pedal effects like reverbs and modulations in EQ. And once you've got that all set, you just save that into the 4 main buckets, so to speak. And those are the ones that are accessible via the button right here. Now, if you have your phone, which we all walk around with our phones, you can access even more and more. There's a lot to explore inside of that app. There is also an optional foot switch that also connects via Bluetooth. If you were playing this live, or just have easy access to the different presets, which I will demonstrate, you can hook up this handy little foot switch. So now let's take a listen to some of the sounds coming right off of this guitar, all manipulated by the companion app. So I have to say, I really appreciate the design of this product. A lot of thought went into user experience. I mean, there's a lot to deep dive in the application itself. You can really tweak your tones. You have a couple of different amps to choose from, but different ranges of gain, like I said, from clean to high gain, and they have some cool pedal effects there. And I'm sure as this platform grows, I wouldn't be surprised if we start to see more and more in future updates. But just the integration is really nice. And the fact that you can save 4 of your main presets in 4 defined categories, and then you can access those from the guitar without having to connect to the app. They thought about this, so that's just super, super convenient. That's a word that you're going to keep hearing from me. And while the convenience provided by the digital innovations is certainly the main benefit of this guitar, there are some physical conveniences too. It has a spoke wheel at the end of the neck to adjust the truss rod, giving you easy access to make neck adjustments, and the tremolo bridge has individual saddles to set the intonation and string height. And around back, you have easy access to adjust the tension of the tremolo system, and all of the necessary tools are included, plus a great looking gig bag. So if you've made it this far, then perhaps you want to know what I really think about this product. Now, an important thing to understand about my channel here is that I only feature products that have some value to me or to different segments of my audience. We all have different budgets and different tolerances and different needs. So I couldn't possibly service everyone out there, but I try to present myself as honestly as possible. Even in a case like this, that this is a sponsored video, I do have to eat. I have a family to feed, so I have to find ways to earn revenue. But I tell every brand that I work with that I'm going to be transparent as I can and be honest. My channel is about honesty and sharing experiences with you. So I do have an experience with these products. I've talked about the previous model. I've talked about how a year later I'm still playing this. This is why I was excited to see the evolution of this product. Now, as I'm sitting here right now, I've actually almost finished the video. Everything you've watched right now is pretty much edited. And I reserved this last little segment to absorb everything that I've done over the last several days. I've had this guitar, I think, for almost 2 weeks now. Plus, I've spent about 3 or 4 days on the video. I've watched the video just to hear how it sounds. And here I sit right now to share my thoughts with you. So as I've said, it's a cool product. I'm going to stand by my word that this is a different category of guitar. I'm not going to sit here and say it's going to be a replacement for your favorite electric guitar. But even that is a stretch because we're all at different price points, budgets, and things like that. This product is priced, I believe, at under $600. Now, if you're watching this close to the launch of this product, I do have a link in the description that will offer you a $100 discount, I believe. That's not going to last forever, and if you're watching this in the future, it may not apply. But if you are watching this sooner, make sure to check the links. If you are interested in this, perhaps you can get a discount. But as I said, it's a different category. Electric guitars, all sorts of different budgets, budget guitars that sit at a similar price point to this, maybe a little cheaper, maybe a little more expensive. But this is really a different thing. I can't call it an electric guitar because it does things that my electric guitars don't do, though it can assume that role if you want it to. You can play it like a regular guitar. But having all of the onboard features just makes this thing unique when comparing it to other electric guitars, which is why I don't think it's a fair comparison. When you're looking at a guitar that was finely crafted with the best woods, aged for a couple of years, we're having a very, very different discussion. And it's a different type of craftsmanship. This carbon fiber construction is different. It's interesting. I know the way they've done it, it's pretty seamless. It's really smooth. I mean, all the contours, obviously this is not, hand sanding and all of that. Sometimes you can almost feel the hand that made the guitar. But they've gone with a very interesting aesthetic. They've looked at, obviously, guitars and evaluated different types of comfort and access. This heelless design is obviously something they can do because of the type of construction it is without consideration for the strength of the wood or the join. It's kind of a unibody kind of construction here. I mean, it's all carbon fiber. The fretboard, I've talked about the nut, and it's all constructed really well. It's very smooth and comfortable. So while I'm not saying this is something you'll play necessary to replace your number one electric guitar made of wood, but you'll enjoy playing this, because I've played, different alternative types of guitars. There's a number of products out there, and some of them just kind of miss the mark because ultimately what's most important when it comes to a guitar, it has to feel good, it has to reasonably stay in tune and make you feel inspired when you play it. If it's a struggle, You know, if you try to set it up and you just can't. And that's something that this guitar has, you know, with this fully adjustable bridge, you know, with intonation control, string height, the spoke wheel here, easy access. I've said I wish all guitars had it here. It just makes it so much easier to adjust the truss rod. I've talked about on the back here, we have this adjustment here for the tension of the floating bridge. When it came, it was sort of raised up a little bit. If you like to pull up, you know, you need a little bit of space here, but I don't do that. I like to have it sitting firmly against the body to ensure greater tuning stability. So I was easily able to do that. Just get this guitar set up by myself. You heard me play it here in the video. So that's a big plus for a guitar at this budget price, because I have struggled with just setting up guitars in that budget range. They're just not as easy to set up and they just don't do what they're supposed to do. This thing did respond. We talked about like the 0 fret design and these beautifully polished frets. It just feels really nice. 0 frets, I don't know why they don't put them on more guitars. It just ensures more tuning stability down here. You know, you low end chuggers here, you know, your zeros and your ones, often you can hear go out of tune down here if the nut is not cut properly. Well, that's alleviated by having this 0 fret here. Really great idea to put that on this guitar. Now, from a hardware perspective, there's certain considerations in terms of what they're going to put on here. These tuning machines here are reminiscent of a Goto style of tuner that I know is over $200. This is probably manufactured for them by maybe a brand that does sort of similar looking tuners. They are branded Enya, but they're very stylish. You know, they do what they're supposed to do. Are they the best tuners I've ever used? Well, I can't make that claim, but they do the job and they look great. This rose gold finish is really, really nice. The bridge here, again, the hardware is good. It's functional. I've talked about how, you know, adjustable this is, and it just makes the guitar that much more playable. The volume knob here feels like solid brass or steel, very heavy. And this is a plastic knob here, but it feels solid and good to the touch. Now, one minor criticism, and I said I'm going to be fully transparent with my views here, is the 5-way toggle switch. It doesn't feel like it's on par with the other hardware. It's like, I don't know, it could be just me, or maybe it's just the plastic tip. It just feels a bit cheaper to me. Obviously, this is something that I wouldn't want to compromise on because you use this all the time, but it just doesn't feel as solid as some of the other hardware on here, and I just wanted to note that, but so far, no problems. Now, one of my favorite things about the guitar is that you can take it anywhere. If you're noodling on the couch and you don't want to bother someone, you just turn it off, but when you have a moment to yourself, just pop it on, quick click of a button, and you get the full sound coming out of the speaker, and that's amazing. But one minor criticism about the placement of the speaker, if you notice when I put my hand like this, I'm blocking the speaker, and it does muffle the sound a little bit. And again, it's not a deal breaker. The fact that you have this in the first place is super convenient, but I should note that, you know, if you ever get a chance to play this, I think that's something that you will notice. And when I did that proximity test to the microphone, you probably noticed when I move my hand away, you could kind of feel that the sound opens up a little bit. So I wonder, something to think about for the future. Maybe they could look at an alternate place to put the speaker and maybe have it up here somewhere, figure out where a majority of us actually put our arm when we're playing, but most of us come in at about a 45 right here. We all have different arm lengths and things like that, but you know, maybe somewhere here, maybe 2 speakers have a stereo effect would be cool. It's still plenty loud, still fills the room, but you do hear the difference, and I wanted to talk about that. Ultimately, what I really love about this is the thought and the detail that has gone into really looking at the user experience, you know, how the guitar connects to the app and the foot switch. It's all seamless, you know, Bluetooth connectivity, and the fact that you can use the app to manipulate this guitar if you really want to drill down and, you know, customize your sounds. But the fact that you can save 4 of your favorites and the different buckets from clean, distorted, overdrive, and high gain, and then have those exist here on the guitar, and you can access them without the app. So you got your 4 favorites. You don't have to bother, you know, connecting to the application. It just makes this ever more flexible and just, I think, very innovative in the way that this can talk to the app and they work together. And by extension, the foot switch as well, just another option. It is an optional accessory. It doesn't come with the guitar, but if that's something you want, it's cool that they designed that as well. So ultimately, who do I think this guitar is for? If you're new to guitar and you're just looking to get started, you have a limited budget, would I consider something like this? Absolutely, I would. My first guitar, I don't know if it's off camera here, was a $200 Gibson a number of years ago. Prorate that into today's dollars, it was probably pretty similar in price, and it took me about a year, I think, before I got my first amplifier. So an electric guitar without an amplifier, no pedals, no headphones, no nothing. If I'm just starting out, you get all of the bells and whistles in one purchase here. And if you end up becoming a guitar player and you grow and you fall down the usual rabbit hole, you're going to buy other products as well, and you could graduate to the next guitar and things like that. But it would basically give you everything in one purchase. So it's certainly worth a consideration. For those of us who have maybe like some of the finer things in the guitar world, I've already said that I still play this one. From a practice tool, lounging on the couch, just jumping in the car and heading somewhere, want to bring a guitar with you. You can't beat this. It's super convenient. It holds its charge actually for a long time. I had it for almost a week and the battery was still working. So as long as you charge this thing up, you could probably go through a whole vacation and not have to charge this, depending obviously on how long or much you're playing it. So it's really super convenient. So if you are an experienced player and you just want to have something around the house that just easy to pick up and practice your scales or just have some fun and work out some songs and things like that, you absolutely can do that. And then by extension, the app offers other features like a drum machine. It's got the tuner in there and there's a chord chart. So there's a good, some educational opportunities there if you want to sort of brush up on some of your chords. So there's a lot of added value there. I hope they continue to develop the app because there's a number of pedals in there. There's 2 amplifiers. You get the cleans, you get the dirties, you get the range. But I'd like to see them perhaps add some more amplifiers, maybe start adding some more pedals and things like that. It would be fun to see that app develop more and more. And if this product is successful, I don't see why that wouldn't happen, but that's a recommendation that I would make to Enya Music to consider offering updates to that app. It'll just feel like you're getting, bonus goodies and things like that. So that's something that I would recommend to Enya to consider continuing to feed the app and just give us a few more toys. A couple more amplifiers would be fun. But overall, as I said, I think this is a really fun product. It's reasonable in price. It delivers as advertised, and it's a different category. So anyways, I hope that creates a good perspective for you. I'm happy to answer any questions you might have. If you are interested in this product, check the description. I've got links directly to purchase this or just to get more information. If there are discounts active at that point, you'll discover that through the link in the description. If it's after the fact, we're still not talking a lot of money for something that really gives you a lot of value. So anyways, there it is. Like I said, I'm always happy to hear from you. Leave me a comment, let me know your thoughts. That's what it's there for. But if you did enjoy this video, please don't forget to like, subscribe, and ring that bell. And while you're down there, we have mentioned the previous version, that's still around. You should check out that video if you're curious. I'll pop it right here. And remember, you don't need a band to rock and roll. I'll catch you in the next one.